Hi.
Hi,
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Nice. Hey, Isaiah. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Is that our camera?
Hmm?
Oh, she has on a hat.
Oh, she got on positive role model hat. We could barely see you.
Really? Let me get some
Yeah.
better lighting. Let me get some better lighting. Oh, I know what to do.
Got about another minute. Oh, yeah, positive role model swag.
I've been getting a lot of compliments on my head today.
Oh, yeah? I know it. You told them we ain't got no more. Yours was the last one.
I did. I was like, you gotta catch them the next time. I don't even know if they're gonna come out with this design again. You missed out.
We're going to try. People like the distressed hat. So we got like 1 minute, and then what happened is we'll just ask you some questions. I'll turn it over to Isaiah. You want to ask you some questions, and then we'll save the live for people who don't catch
Okay.
it, but they generally go back and watch it if they don't catch it right away.
Okay.
How was your Sunday?
That worked for me. Today was pretty good. I was pretty busy, but I convinced my mom to barbecue, and so all is well.
Oh, that's what's up. It was nice today too, the barbecue.
Yeah, it was nice. It
All right,
was nice. How was yours?
I didn't do nothing.
Relaxed. You know, I like to hear
Yeah.
that.
All right, so we're gonna get started. Welcome to what we gonna call this? We need to call it something. Right now it's just you joining
Interviews with positive role models.
interviews with positive role models. That's what we're gonna call it. My name is Letitia Isby. This Isaiah. We are the founders of Positive Role Models. Today we joined by Miss Mychele Williams. Miss?
Yeah, miss.
Yeah, we're gonna use it. Okay. Um, licensed professional counselor in the DC area. Thank you so much for joining us. So we just want to turn it over, ask you some questions. Like, where are you
Okay.
from? How did you get into counseling?
Okay, yeah. So I'm from Philadelphia. I got into counseling because I went to Xavier University for like psychology pre-med. And I became a McNair scholar. And as a McNair scholar, you get to do summer research. And so once I did summer research, graduate school appealed to me so much. I'm like, oh, I can do so much more than, like going to medical school and becoming a psychiatrist. There's so many other fields that I can go into. So at first I wanted to do research, but then I realized like the things I was learning was helping me to become better prepared to be a clinician.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going the master's route in counseling. And I really just been full steam ahead since then.
Oh, pre-med. What was that like?
Hard.
I can
It was
imagine.
it was a lot of chemistry. It was a lot of biology. I was a chemistry minor, so the chemistry wasn't hard. I really love chemistry.
That's your thing.
I
Um,
like chemistry
Oh,
at
you don't
all.
like
you don't
chemistry?
like chemistry?
Oh, I didn't have
But
it
see,
in
you
me.
in high school, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so high school chemistry, I hated it. But once I got to college, chemistry had a whole new face for me. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, I could generally be a chemist. Like after being in organic chemistry, it was different for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like a chemistry minor, but what made it hard was like calculus.
Oh,
Statistics blew it out the water, but calculus, oh
oh,
my goodness. And I was like, I need this for the MCAT.
yeah. You know what that is?
The MCAT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
That's the exam you gotta take in order to see if like you're ready to become a
Oh,
doctor.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you hip already. Yeah.
Statistics in graduate school, I say yeah, never again. Okay, so you
Yeah.
from Philly, went to Xavier, studied pre-med, and went on to be a clinician. Got a quick
hmm
question. What's the best cheesesteak spot in Philly?
Wow. If I really had to rate it, I would say Delisandro's. I said it with my
Really?
chest too.
you
I would say Delisandro's. Um,
say it with her chest.
I'm gonna ask
I
around.
stand by that.
You stand
It's
by
really
that?
good consistently.
Okay. All right, Isaiah had a couple of questions for you. We're not gonna hold you too long. We normally try to do just about 30 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Um,
cool.
So my first question is, how did you become passionate about therapy and counseling?
Like my passion. That's actually a pretty good question. So I think what happened was I was just really curious around like why people did the things that they did. Like some people did things with absolutely no concept of why they did it. Like I don't know. And that just really didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like people aren't just doing things because they don't know how. So I just became curious. Like things weren't lining up for me. And so I was just chasing that curiosity, and like the more I learned, the more it made me want to learn, like understanding people, since what we really have to do is interact with people, seems like something I wanted to like build a strength around. Um, so when I got to graduate school and I got to study solely all I wanted to study, I really was like, oh yeah, this is something I can do. Like I can tailor my interests. And I was actually in populations of people. I started in the addictions community when I was in New Orleans. And I just had a lot of fun being like face to face with like actual human beings and hearing the whole story and not just like narratives that relatives or friends make about them. And I just was so passionate around making sure that people's stories were told, that people were better understood, or at least could explain themselves. So I think I've been chasing that for a while, and I think that's how I keep it going because there's always more to learn about people.
That's what's up. That's what's up. My second question was I just was thinking about. Okay, so when you have problems and you want to talk to people, who do you talk to, or like how do you take care of your mental health as someone who take care of other people's mental health?
Yeah, so I have a therapist. Been holding me down for a couple years now, but I also have like a core group of safe people, like people who I know generally have like my best interests at heart, my health at heart. Safe people. Like I have friends, but I have like a core group of people that can hold space for me, and I kind of hit them up like, hey, do you have space for me to like process or think through something? And they typically know, let me know if they have the capacity. But I have a therapist, and then I have a network of therapist friends as well, that I can kind of help, like process some things with. And I also chant.
You chat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It, yeah. So I connect with people, excuse me, who chant with me, and so like they kind of like can lift me up as well when I'm like needing somebody to talk to or needing some motivation. So yeah, I got a couple different areas.
That's like
So I know you dealing holistic. What's some good foods or things that you would say to help Black people specifically, like lift their mood during this period of time? Since we home teleworking a lot, we maybe not eating out as
Mm-hmm.
much. What's some good foods that kind of help with, I don't know, situational depression, um,
Mm-hmm.
loss and grief during this time. It's a lot of people who have lost jobs, and maybe lost loved ones or lost their sense of normalcy. What's some good foods
Mm-hmm.
and good things other than medication at the moment that could kind of help until we can get to you know uh, your primary care doctor or another type of doctor.
Yeah, I would recommend like some really colorful foods. Like I know people kind of rag on the root vegetables, but like beets and carrots, like the brighter the food, the better to like really introduce into like your daily practice. Always get some greens in, even if you have to drink them. Like if you can't eat the greens or the kale, or the cabbage, then I would recommend you drink it. Something that might be really helpful though is just for you to do like just be mindful of how the food is making you feel as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
Like like some foods we eat it because like it's comfort food, but it doesn't always make us feel better. So like you gotta stay hydrated, gotta get a lot of color into your food. Like if you're looking at your plate and there's not like at least three different colors, you need some more colors. Right. So
Okay.
I would look at like some farmers markets, like something close by. Don't ever sleep on Aldi's because they got like kind of the best organic produce. But I would definitely get into the root vegetables like the beets and the carrots and the like turmeric, like
Mm-hmm.
ginger root. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I never heard of that term, like get some color in your plate. You heard that before?
yeah.
Yeah. I never heard
Yeah.
it. That's good. And then I had another question. You talk about Black people in this time that we're in with the like issues with police brutality, along with a loss of sense of normalcy. What's some of the things you've seen in your practice? I know you have your own practice as well. We forgot to shout that out. Therapy and a T company. See, is it therapy to a TCO? Is therapy to a T company? So you got your own practice in DC, in the DC area. What's some of the things you've seen in your practice when you're working with specifically Black clients during this time?
Like some of the things that we're struggling with, or like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you know, like I think one of the things that's really getting hard is like we heal through community, and the way that we access community feels like it feels like we don't have access to it really. Like for some of us that are being like cautious, we can't be in like close physical proximity. Some of the things that we used to do to cope, we don't have access to. So it's been kind of like a feeling of like stuck, a feeling of stagnancy, because like there's no break to the work day, there's no break to like getting off work. You know, like we're starting to reflect on our environments, like, you know, is our home safe? Our neighborhood's not safe. The world's not really safe. So really questioning safety and trust all around. Like those are just a couple of things that I really noticed that people are dealing with, like feeling stuck, having to confront like, you know, like the type of work that they're doing, the workspaces that they're in, and they're having to confront like their friend group. So it's like not only are they feeling isolated because of the global pandemic, but maybe they're feeling isolated in a different sense because of people's political views not lining up with the ones that might be safe for them.
Hmm. I can definitely relate to. I noticed since I've been home, my couch not that comfortable. Like so, when you, I'm serious. So when you talk about having to confront your workspaces, have you found since y'all been home as teenagers that y'all kind of dealing with anything she talking about?
Um, Me personally, I just don't like being in the house, and then
Mm,
being confined to the house for my safety and the safety of other people in my house. It's like it's hard to deal with.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I go outside sometimes, but it's like not all the time you can go where you want to go and interact with who you want to interact
yeah.
So that's that. So what's some strategies we could use to kind of deal with the fact that we are having to kind of isolate a little bit more? We're having to, you know, be confronted with maybe stuff that we haven't wanted to deal with, maybe like maintenance in your house or relationships in your house, health disparities. What's up? Just a couple of strategies we could use to kind of manage some of those things.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest strategies and the first strategy that we could try is to get grounded. And what I mean by that is like to be centered, to be grounded, to find like what your kind of like what your bodily calm is. That's going to be really, really, really important because that's going to allow us to access like our problem solving. It's going to allow us to access like our critical thinking. And so what I mean by getting grounded, I mean like making sure that you are taking an assessment of like the moment by moment here and now. Because sometimes as we think about like what's going on, what has happened, what can happen, we're no longer here. So that looks like if you need to physically sit on your floor, if you need to take an assessment of the things around you. Like for example, I really like textured pillows. And I like textures all around me. So it's easier for me to get grounded in my spaces because I can literally just reach my arm out and touch something. And I'm instantly brought to like, oh, right now, this is corduroy. This is fluffy. Um, it also looks like we got to get outside. I know we can't go outside, but to get outside, to get some sun charge, to smell the rain, to physically put our hands, feet, limbs in nature is a very good way to get grounded. So if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, isolated, disappointed, to really just kind of take a tiny break to like your steps or like, you know, like to the nearest tree you can find and just kind of like touch that tree to get grounded would be really, really helpful. Um, and then perhaps, no, that definitely has to be first. So then secondly, you know, I know that people say this and I know it is definitely is easier said than done, but it's going to require us to shift the way we think about things. So like so it really needs to be an adaptation that is, in order for me to cope with everything that's going on that has happened, I'm going to have to shift the way I'm even thinking about it. And so I know I know it's difficult to do, but we got to be committed to that, because we got to focus our attentions on what we can do, what we have done, what we are doing, what's possible. Because if we continue to think about the things that aren't possible, haven't been done, maybe we can't do anymore, we're going to feel very hopeless, very helpless. And when we're feeling hopeless and helpless, we're not grounded, we're not able to access our creativity. And then our immune system goes down. Like, that's just kind of like a correlation. One thing I learned recently is that for Black people, we hold a lot of grief in our like lungs.
Oh, I ain't know that.
Yeah, I recently just learned that. And that's so interesting for COVID to be like a virus that infects our respiratory system, for us to be holding grief in our lungs. So not only do we have like, like pre-existing health conditions that make us more susceptible, but like we've been grieving for a long, 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 long time as a community. So to think that our lungs are already not even as strong as they ever could be because of so much grief that we're constantly experiencing. So that's what I mean by getting grounded. Like, let's focus on our breathing. Let's learn how to breathe more intentionally. And then you can always take to the point where like you can make a decision to change at any point in time. Like, you're not stuck to this one narrative. So like, it doesn't matter who we were. Like, I know myself and a couple of my colleagues, we really find a lot of comfort in traveling. I mean, I don't like it, I can travel. I'm tired, I can travel. And like, my passport is dusty. I mean, I guess that's a little dramatic for me, but it feels dusty. So I really had to get creative and shed the mindset of, oh, I can't cope the way I usually cope, and think like, okay, how can I take the way I used to cope by hopping on a flight? How can I transmute that to something else that works for me? Right? So like, if I don't have a car, I can rent one, and then I can drive someplace and still be socially distanced and still be seeing something new. And so I really had to shift my mind around that. Is it the same as getting off into another country? No, but it's something that I can do right now. And so it's really going to be important to focus on like, what can I do right now?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I think sometimes we can get stuck in like what we can't do and never really think about there are some alternatives. So I'm glad you pointed out. We had a quick question. So the question was, you spoke about good foods to eat and feeling good, but is the food we eat directly correlated to our mental health? Did I read that right?
I actually would say yes. There's a such thing as a gut brain, like the gut brain relationship. Um, and I would encourage a lot of people to check that out. Like, what is our gut brain relationship? I don't know if you've ever heard of the term of like a probiotic or a prebiotic, like the types of, like just supplements that we can take to help really improve the environment of our gut, of our intestines. Because a lot of the neurotransmitters that affect our mood and everything else actually exist there. They exist in our brain, but they exist there too. So, when you think about like how food can impact your mood, it really is a matter of, I'm eating this food because it's bringing me comfort for sure, but is it going to bring me long-term comfort, right? Like, if I'm feeling bloated afterwards, that's my body telling me that it didn't really serve the purpose that we really needed it to serve. Oh, look at my cat making an appearance. Um, so, I really do think that it really is tied to your mood. And like, I followed somebody the other day. This isn't true for everybody, but someone the other day did I think they did a liquid fast, like a smoothie fast. And this is somebody who outwardly talks about their anxiety, and she said for a week she didn't notice her anxiety.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, wow, I'm stunned. And I know that's not going to be true for everybody, but for her to be practicing mindfulness and to notice that, now she can take that information and arm her with like being more intentional moving forward with the type of things that she consumes. And I encourage us to really think about it like, yes, I want to eat this. Yes, I have a craving for it, but let me check and see how it makes me feel after I eat it. Like, that could give us a lot of information.
Right. I said from a teenager perspective, if you had somebody that went to Xavier and understand like holistic health, is this something that you think, or have you had? Have you had experience working with teenagers? And then my question to you is, are teenagers open to like a therapist or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first question you want me to ask?
Are teenagers open to working with a therapist? And then have you had experience working with teenagers?
Mm-hmm.
Because the positive role models, what we want to do is really equip future leaders with the capacity to lead, right? And so we know that they don't always have all the skills, the social skills. They may be very good young people, but may not have the social skills, understand power dynamics, and things of that nature. So those are skills that, as clinicians, we give. But so I just wanted to know if you feel like teenagers in general were open. I know you can't speak for the whole teenager race or whatever it's called.
But like you and your friends.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of me and my friends are open to the idea of therapy. However, a lot of my friends, and sometimes myself, feel like all therapists may not have good intentions. And so that kind of shies them away from going to therapy because they have the mindset of, well, is this person really here to help me, or are they doing it for some other reason? Do they just like hearing people talk? Is it about the money, et cetera, et cetera? But a lot of people are open to the idea of therapy. And then some of my other friends just don't know what it is or don't know the benefits of it or what it could do for them. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I thank you for sharing that. So I actually started off working with teenagers. That's my passion population. But just because I know that a lot of the things that we experience in adulthood, stems from teenagehood. So I had to work with teenagers to really understand what happens, what are we experiencing as adults. So you all give us so much information. But when I worked with teenagers before, I definitely experienced like the initial mistrust. Some of them were like forced into it by their parents, which made them like not really into it. And they weren't really given a lot of information about like what is therapy, what can I get, how safe is it. But in my experience with the teenagers, what I learned was that you all really bring a lot to the therapeutic relationship. And so it really is about the relationship that you form with a person. So it might not be the best fit the first time. I have to share that with you. Just like friendships, just like jobs, just like relationships, just like grocery stores, if you picky like me, the first one's maybe not always going to be the best. And you might get lucky. The best fit. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that you should give up, because you wouldn't approach anything else like that. But it is about fit, right? And then once you find that fit, it's about like, can you be yourself? Have I tried being myself? Right? Like, it's a difference between me thinking I can't be myself and me trying it and actually having an opportunity to be like received. I can assure you 100%, and I think I speak for all counselors when I say we ain't in it for the money. They simply just we don't get paid enough. It's just one of those fields. I don't think teachers get paid enough, but truly not even doctors for real. But besides that point, I think that like we're in it because we really want to help. Like we've seen like the lifeline. Like we've seen babies, we've seen people your age, like teenagers, we've seen adults, and we've seen like the types of things that you can experience in adulthood. And our whole thing is like, please use us as a resource. Please talk to us. Please let us in. Like find yourself through us so that you can go into an adulthood feeling like confident and motivated and like with a level of self-awareness. So I think that for myself and my colleagues, that's something that we really want for like the younger, like the teenage and the adolescent population. That's like what we try to get out of it.
Yeah. So I think I don't always remember that teenagers operate from a level of mistrust a lot. Specific. I mean, especially when it comes to why adults are so interested in their overall growth. So I really enjoy the aspect of gut health. I'm kind of, I got a cheat sheet a little bit. I ain't gonna tell everybody how I got a cheat sheet, but I got a cheat sheet a little bit. Did you have any more questions?
I didn't have any more questions.
So we got, for everybody who just joined, we asked Mychele some some coping strategies for dealing with this unprecedented times that we're in. One was to get grounded, like literally get grounded. If you're in your house and you know feeling like shut in, maybe get on your floor, like really get grounded. Touch something that has texture. Go outside and touch a tree, get some air, get some sun, smell the rain. I can't read it. Isaiah, we got a question for you.
Okay, so the first question is, what keeps y'all motivated, especially during these times? I guess I can answer the question first because I read it.
Okay.
But what keeps me motivated during these times is that eventually it has to come to an end. And if I keep a negative mindset now, when things open back up and the fun is ready to happen, it's not going to be available because I kept this negative mindset for so long. So that's what motivates me to know that eventually it will come to an end, and that positivity has to be there in order for me to enjoy it.
What keeps me motivated? Man, it comes and goes, honestly. If I be all the way 100, I could be motivated for 2 weeks, and that motivation stems in my desire to want to make things better and accomplish some goals. And then sometimes I'm just not. Like, I mean, these are really tough times, just being isolated from people and just life. So most of the time, if I am motivated, I'm trying to achieve a goal, I'm trying to help somebody or something. And other times when I'm not, I probably just need a break, you know, life just happens. That was a good question.
That was a good question.
What's your next? Well, I can't read that. So he say 19 or something.
Somebody said, "Hi, my name's Tariq. I'm 19, and yeah, I would say in particular, I don't exactly."
He don't know what the therapist job.
Extent of a therapist and their job title, if that makes sense. So,
oh yeah, I can explain that real quick. So a mental health therapist, sometimes they are called psychotherapists, sometimes they're called counselors, sometimes they're called clinical social workers, sometimes they're called psychologists. But anybody with any of those titles, what the job entails is to creating a safe relationship, to be a model for the other relationships that you have, to have unconditional positive regard, which means there's no judgment. There literally is no place for judgment in a therapeutic relationship. Their job is to convey empathy. So like really trying to understand and almost put themselves in your shoes for like what you're experiencing, what you're thinking, to really help you get to a place of a solution. We collaborate, we work together to create a plan, to pursue goals, to kind of attack certain barriers or obstacles. We don't really like give our opinion or our advice. You know, it's not really about us, and there's no right answer, right? We're just trying to help you find out what your right answer is for you. And so you're gonna talk, maybe you might play some games, you might do some experiments. I love a good behavioral experiment. But it really is just a bunch of different strategies to just problem solve with you around like what's working, what's not working, how can I amplify the things that are working, and how can I work through the things that are not working, in a nutshell. And then some therapists, they go in different directions for how they get there, but I think that that's like the bare bones about what you can expect from a therapist.
Yeah, that was a good question. We have one more. I can't see that.
Oh, the last question says, what habits should we do daily to keep us positive during COVID, the election, and racism?
I think we answered that a little while ago. Some of the suggestions was to one, eat healthier. What she say? Get some
get some color on your plate.
Color on your plate. Get some color on your plate. Get some greens. Pay attention to your health. Get some air. The election.
Yeah, and then like in a daily practice, I would try to just practice mindfulness. Like I know that sometimes time is elusive, and you know, like it gets through, you know, it gets the best of us. We don't know what time it is. It's all running together. So I would say as a daily practice to practice being a little bit more mindful of the moments that you're having throughout the day, being mindful about the care that you're giving yourself throughout the day. Like, it's absolutely imperative that in this pandemic, in general, but in this pandemic with the racism and the political climate, all that stuff that's going on, to love on yourself very radically, like, and be unrelenting about loving on yourself and daily. And so that's bigger than like a face mask or a bubble bath. That's literally like, how can I pour back in myself today? How can I be thoughtful about myself today? How can I show care to myself today? You know, like, can I set a boundary? Can I say no? Can I say yes? Like, can I accept help? So thinking about that on a daily basis is going to be helpful. Being active as much as you can will be helpful. So laugh, that's activity. You know, like, frown, smile, cry. Those are activities. You know, like practicing your breath work. There's a resource, and I'll put it in the comments, but there's a resource that has a lot of different examples of the ways that we can breathe to raise our heart rate and lower our heart rate. But just to make sure we're carving some time to be intentional about our breathing. But again, it's also going to come back to us shifting our mindset. Like, all things are, you know, like, it seems like everything's going awry right now, but we can control certain aspects about our life, and we can do something, right? So you might not be able to go out and protest, but maybe you can donate to a bail fund. If you can't go to a bail fund, maybe you can write a letter or send a text message, or post an image on social media. Like, there's so many things that you can do, and none of those things are too small.
So the next question was, as therapists, what helps keep that positive attitude, and what do y'all do when burnout arises?
That's a great question. Wow. You know, my job and the work that I've been doing has been what has been keeping me motivated, believe it or not. And I think it's because, like, my clients really show up for themselves, like, time after time. So, like, for me, I'm like, dang, like, one, I need to show up for myself. But also, I think it's awesome that I get to work with somebody who's also showing up for themselves. So that's like one piece of the motivation. But another thing that I do is I collaborate with other therapists, and we talk through new ways to approach therapy, new books to read. Like, I've really been getting into some great books, and some podcasts. I'm really big on podcasts. Like, I love a good podcast. Um, and I think that I've been focusing on, like, how can I invest in my relationships that are safe for me, even in these times. So, like, what does a new type of investment look like? Do I write letters? You know, like, do I talk to them more? Do I let them know I'm thinking about them? And I'm a plant mom, so my plants and I, like, we got a real good thing going. And several times a day, I'm checking in with my plants. I'm tending to my plants. It's something about, like, doing something, like considering something that can't, like, use words but still speaks to you, and seeing it grow and grow new leaves and flower, that makes me feel really, really, like, amazing. So those are a couple of things that I've been doing, you know, like, to stay motivated. But I think that a good therapist has a therapist. And I just have a network of people who are kind of doing similar work, and we're invigorated by all the new things that we're learning. Wait, did I answer the question?
Yes, you did.
Oh, what
I
burnout arises. When burnout arises, I take time off.
Yeah.
I take time off, and I take time out before the burnout. So, like, I had to revamp my schedule. I had to be more intentional about how I was caring for myself. I had to be honest about what my limits were, and then I had to be transparent with those who I had commitments to. And then I had to take time off. Really had to take time off. And I had to practice not feeling guilty about that.
As a clinician, I mean, sometimes, you know, honestly, well, I'm getting better at
Mm-hmm.
stopping before the burnout, but definitely when the burnout arises, you take time off. Um,
Yeah.
what you do as a student when you burnt out? Like, just burnt out with school and stuff like that.
I go to Banneker, so when you get burnt out, you gotta keep going, or you know, it's your
Mm.
grades gonna suffer. Your test scores might suffer, but
Do you find
sometimes,
any activities?
yeah, sometimes, you know, you just gotta say that's okay. And you do what makes you happy. Play the game, go outside, and then right back to the schedule, working hard.
Can I offer a suggestion? Okay, you know, like, you're a student, you're in high school, you go to a real good high school. When you feel like you're losing your steam, you feeling that burnout approaching, I would just encourage you to go to a safe person, a safe adult, preferably one at home and one at school, and let them know what's going on. And take this with you however you go, whether you want to go, into like entrepreneurship full time, if you want to go to any type of professional school or college or anything like that. Make sure that you have like one safe person at home and one safe person at whatever those institutions are, that you let them know, hey, like I'm kind of reaching my limit. And I really need like time, support, a resource, a something, a bridge, something. Let somebody know so that they can help you, because you don't have to work yourself to the bone like that. Like, we know you want to do your best, and I want you to do your best. But if you're not getting sleep and things like that, if you feel like you're not able to complete tasks the way you're used to, you got to let somebody know before it becomes a thing where they're coming to you like, what are these grade drops? What is this behavior slipping? Let somebody know like, hey, I'm really tired, or I'm in a lot of pain. That's my only suggestion. I really just check in with somebody so they can support you.
Okay.
It's cool. We got so many questions. You getting all the questions. I know we over our time, so we're gonna take one more. What do you say?
It says, do many therapists go to other therapists?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We all need a place to, like have a support, like, again, a non-biased person that you can bounce ideas off with, process with, continue to grow with. You need somebody who you can like trust. And I know it kind of sounds odd for somebody who doesn't have a therapist to think, oh, I'm gonna go to a stranger and trust them. But one, you pay a clinician to trust them, so you can almost bet on that. But also, you work in that relationship to build that trust, and you're kind of starting off on a clean foundation. It might be harder in other relationships, but you start on a clean foundation, and it is helpful to have somebody to just like bounce ideas off of and process with.
That's true. The person that's asking those questions, you asking, I ain't gonna say I can't say his name, but you asking really good questions. If you have any more questions about therapy or want to know more about, what a therapist do or how to get in touch with one, please feel free to DM us. We'll share any resources we have with y'all. Mychele, where can they find you at?
Yeah, so you can find me like at Therapy to a T Co. That's my Instagram. I post a lot of resources there. I share a lot of resources there. And then you can also find me at therapy2at.com. Like message me. You can read some more resources there, read more about therapy there, connect with other mental health professionals there, and also some crisis lines that are on the website as well.
And y'all
Oh,
can
and
find.
before y'all go,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
anybody's in your network that is like trans or transitioning, but it's September and I didn't get a chance to sponsor the Black Trans Prayer Book in August, so now I'm doing 2 in September. So if you know anybody who's interested in, like, it's like a journal, affirmation, supportive resource for people who might be queer or transitioning, let them know, send them my way. So I'm happy to sponsor it.
Oh, I didn't even know. Yes.
Can you definitely DM us more info about that? I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of friends who advocate for the trans community and would love that information.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty
absolutely.
cool. All right, for sure. And you can find us at Inspired. Spell Inspired.
INSPIRED.
Positivity, all one word. Inspired. InspiredPositivity.com. That's where our apparel and stuff is at. But if you want to hear more about the whole initiative, look, she rocking the positive role model. He got the burgundy one. She got the distressed one. There's some stuff on there. And 10% of all the proceeds from that go back into the community, and then our parent company is at lticoncepts.com. If you see our project manager, Rika's on here, so if you want to inbox her, you can find more information from her as well. So we thank you immensely. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you. I hope
I
anybody that
loved it.
needs you get in touch. Any more questions?
I don't have any more questions.
So you want more information about the trans services? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll be in touch.
All right, great. Well, thank you. You guys have a great night.
You too.
You too.
All right, bye.
I might end it like this.